All right, welcome everybody. This is Trolltoasting 101. My name is Jellel Hakkim, member of Brave Collective in the incredible corporation. Currently living in Scalding Pass, having fun every day, doing exactly what we're going to talk about today, which is troll toasting. I've been in the game since about 2009. I won Eve, started a family for 4 years, came back last November, and had to relearn the game. A lot changed over those 4 years. Found a home in Brave and have been having a blast and incredible since the end of last year. All right, so let's jump in. This is going to be a 15-minute crash course in troll toasting and solve mechanics, and then we're going to undock and we are going to hit the road. So what is Entosis? Entosis is the process by which a player captures either a territory control unit or TCU or an infrastructure hub or Ihub in the game. Territory control units are simply flags in space. When installed in a system, that's when the map shows who, quote unquote, owns the system. But TCUs really don't do anything. Currently, they don't have any functionality. There's some speculation that with the blackout, TCUs and system actual formal sovereignty control may play a part in turning local back on in systems, but that's all speculation. Right now, TCUs don't do much. What really matters are infrastructure hubs or Ihubs. Infrastructure hubs, when installed in a system, allow you to do lots of interesting and very valuable things. For example, with an infrastructure hub, you can add upgrades to that hub that allows for an increase in mining and combat anomalies. Those are good things. You can put industry rigs and boosters for building things on the Ihub. You can increase add the ability to build capital ships. Importantly, you can add the ability to add Sino jammers in system. All of those things, and some others, are dependent on your corporation's control, or your alliance's control, rather, of that infrastructure hub. It is for that reason that the infrastructure hubs are so valuable, and it is precisely that reason that when we troll toast, we attack Ihubs. ADMs stands for Activity Defense Multiplier. This is a score that Eve gives you that is essentially a proxy for the amount of qualified activity by your alliance in that region. You can build ADMs in 3 ways. ADMs increase based on the time you control that Ihub in the system. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, etc. The base goes up. The second way is by ratting in the system. So based on the number of rats you kill, you increase ADMs. The higher the ADM, the more rats you have to kill to maintain it. ADMs deplete at about 1% per hour. So if you are at 100% of a level 2 military index ADM, by the end of that day, you will be at 76% of level 1 of that index. So it requires some upkeep. And then the third way is through mining. The industry index goes up by mining activity in systems. So if you have moons and an Athanor and they get mined, that raises the index. And it's a way that CCP has designed it. I think it works quite well so that you just can't hold systems you don't use. It becomes very, very difficult with low ADMs to prevent exactly what we're trying to do here today. The fourth way you raise ADMs is by declaring that particular system the capital of your alliance. That automatically gives you an ADM of 6 and makes it really, really difficult for anyone to attack you from a sovereignty standpoint. Why do ADMs matter? ADMs, a higher ADM increases the amount of time it takes to put a TCU or Ihub into reinforcement. They also, the higher the ADM, shrink the window in which you can cause a reinforcement. So an ADM system of 1, you have a really wide window, and it only takes 10 minutes to put a system into reinforcement. An ADM of 2 literally doubles that time. It takes 20 minutes. ADM of 3, 30 minutes. It's basically, multiply the ADM times 10, and that's how long it takes of active Entosis to put a TCU or Ihub into reinforcement. Vulnerability windows are important because systems are only vulnerable for certain periods in a day. CCP has created that mechanic because otherwise when you went to sleep, all your stuff could get reinforced, and that's bad. But that's also created this mechanic exploit called time zone tanking. And when Legacy Coalition is today fighting an alliance in AUTZ, what it means is their vulnerability windows are frankly terrible, and ours for theirs, right? And so you have to set alarm clocks, get up early, and run classes at 9:30 a.m. U.S. Central Time if you want to have a shot at the vulnerability window. So we're going to talk more all about that as we go on. So here's how you capture TCUs and Ihubs. Your ship, and you can use any ship, must have an Entosis link module. You must also have strontium clathrate in cargo. I'll refer to that as stront from now on. Anywhere from 25 to 50 is fine. When you activate your Entosis link, that is a high slot module, you enter a warm-up cycle. A T1 link has a 5-minute warm-up cycle, which means for 5 minutes you sit there and literally nothing happens. 2 minutes for a T2 link. That extra 3 minutes is a really big deal in very hairy sovereignty fights or attempts, and also maximizes your chance of winning a reinforcement. The difference is a T1 link costs about 10 to 12 million ISK. A T2 link is currently running about 140 million ISK. So it's a lot of risk to put out there to just screw with the enemy. So we're only going to fly T1 links. However, up in Scalding Pass in Sov warfare today, we're flying Storks and Bifrosts with micro jump drives and T2 links. After the warm-up cycle ends, the capture cycle starts. Depending on the ADM, that capture cycle can run anywhere from 10 to 60 minutes. Today, we are going to be focusing on ADM systems of 2. That capture cycle has nothing to do with the cycle of your Entosis link. So if you are in an ADM 2.2 system, you actually have to run 3 full cycles 5 full cycles of 5 minutes to capture it, which means there's 3 minutes of nothing after you capture, if that makes sense. After the timer has been made, the reinforcement has been made, or after you click to red cycle your Entosis link, you warp off because somebody's coming after you, that cycle stays active. That red cycle is 5 minutes for T1 and 2 minutes for T2. Any questions so far? Like I said, we're going to practice this live. Anyone have any questions?
Can you move when you are using the Entosis link?
Yes. So we'll get to that in tips and tricks, but you can move, you can shoot, you can activate all of your modules. What you cannot do is cloak, and you cannot warp. Also, your maximum speed with an Entosis link active is 4,000 meters per second. So it doesn't matter how fast you are. The CCP has built a mechanic so that you can't toast and then haul ass in a 6,000 meters per second ship out of there. You're capped at 4,000. So you really have to be smart about how you do this. So what is troll toasting? Troll toasting typically refers to when a single player or small group of players attempts to capture a TCU or Ihub with 2 goals. Number 1, to harass the enemy. Number 2, to create a reinforcement timer. And don't underestimate the impact of number 1, because what happens, and anyone in Brave Collective or in Legacy knows that, you'll see these little boxes pop up in the bottom right-hand corner of your game client that says such and such Ihub is being contested or has entered reinforcement. When your Entosis cycle ends warm up and begins an active cycle, every single member of the enemy alliance gets that message. So it will literally ping thousands and thousands of people all at once. And what that does is create a whole lot of chaos, because what you force them to do is decide who's responding, to form a fleet, to do all kinds of stuff. Now imagine what happens if you've got 3, 4, 5, 10 people in 10 different systems all doing this at the same time. It becomes a whole lot of fun because it becomes whack-a-mole for the enemy. And so it's harass the enemy, number one. It keeps them from doing things like making ISK or waging war, and is loads of fun to do. It's the ultimate way to troll your enemy. Second, they may not respond in time, and you can actually create a reinforcement timer. When you do that, the system enters reinforcement, the TCU or Ihub, 48 hours from now, approximately, at some time during their vulnerability window. At that time, the system starts spawning nodes and it becomes a contest to get to 100%. I am not going to go into detail on that because it's way too much to cover. But just know that when you put a system into reinforcement, it compels your enemy to form a fleet to go defensively toast the system back into their control. So even if we never form a fleet for that follow-up, they're forced to do so. And so if you look at the timer board for Fraternity right now, you will see 20 to 25 systems entering reinforcement in the next 24 to 48 hours. And what that does is create lots and lots of work for them. That's lots of fun. Your ultimate goal here is to stay alive. This is not YOLO toasting. You generally want to use cheap and disposable ships in the T1 link. The toast fits I put in the MOTD and the ones that I'll show on a coming screen cost about 12 to 14 million ISK each, with 10 to 12 million of that ISK being the Entosis link module. So you want to keep it cheap, you want to stay alive, you want to live to toast again, and you don't want to worry about draining your wallet to do this. Any questions? Okay, moving on. So preparing to troll toast, the first thing you want is a ship you're willing to have explode, because you've got about a 75% chance using a T1 link that someone's going to catch you and kill you, which is perfectly fine. You forced someone to stop what they were doing and come deal with you. So you want an Entosis link. You want Stront in your cargo. Every time your Entosis link cycles, it uses 1 unit of Stront. So 25 units of Stront is hours of cycling. 25 is fine. 50 is a good number if you don't want to. If you don't plan on dying and you don't want to have to continually restock your cargo. You want to open up .lam. You want to find a nice target system. You want to check the vulnerability window to make sure it's still open, and then good luck. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here I have Scalding Pass pulled up in .lam. You can see in the upper right-hand corner, I have put the ADMs of the system here. You can see in that drop-down right under the donate link, set it to ADMs, and I'm going to look at the entire region here. Green systems have lower ADMs, red systems have higher ADMs. So what you can see is that there's lots and lots of targets here. Currently July 2019 here, Incredibles deployed into Scalding Pass in the middle of the western side of the map. You can see all those beautiful orange rings around systems. That means these systems have been reinforced. You can also see systems that are already reinforced in the upper right. Valkyrie Alliance is currently going after those. And so there's a lot on the timer board right now. We're going to pick a system. I'm going to link it in Fleet later. You want to pick a low-day ADM system if you're doing it by yourself. Fly there and start toasting. So when I look at a map, I find a system I might want to toast. I see X9 VTech 15 in the lower right-hand corner of this map. I'm going to click in .land on that system, and what I'm going to see is this. Down at the bottom, I'm going to take a look at the at ownership, and what I find is, oh my gosh, test already captured the Ihub here. That system is vulnerable, and so as a member of Legacy Coalition, I'm not going to want to test Ihub. I'm not going to mess with it. You will also see that the TCU for Solaris is invulnerable. So if I wanted to troll toast the TCU for whatever reason, I can't do that now because the vulnerability window is not open. So again, go to .land, look at a region, look for load ADM systems, click on that system, look at the vulnerability window. If it meets all the criteria, you're in business. Questions? Okay, so some tips. We're going to do this in the practical. You're going to warp to the Ihub. The T1 Entosis link has a range of 15,000, and the T2 link has a 50,000 range. So you're going to warp in our a T1 link at about 10. You're going to immediately align out. Ideally, you drop a mid-safe somewhere in the system, align to a Celestial, lock the Ihub or TCU, and start your cycle. You definitely want to stop your ship. I've done this 1,000 times. You align out, you forget to stop, you activate the cycle, you go out of range. Now you got to wait 5 minutes. It's a real pain. So be very, very careful not to get out of your max range for your Entosis link. You are then going to keep DScan open. I hope everybody has permanently docked DScan to some part of their game client with Blackout. You are going to spam DScan at max range at 360 degrees because anything that shows up is probably there to kill you. If you suspect it's someone responding, and what you'll find retributions, Gnosis, Jaguars, tackle interceptors, all of these things that show up on DScan. They may be just warping through the system, but they're probably responding to the ping that 1,000 to 5,000 members just got. And so what I do is I immediately hit my MJD or MWD, and I start hauling ass as fast as I can. I have 14 AUs worth of their warp for me to get out of there. And what I'm hoping is that my red cycle ends before they can catch me and point me. And then I'm going to warp off. I'm going to troll them in local. And then I'm going to wait for them to leave. And then I'm going to do it all over again. Another big tip here I have found, particularly in toasting enemies in AUTZ, downtime is your friend. I've had a lot of success doing this over the last couple of months. If you start an Entosis cycle before downtime, like say you're trying to toast an ADM2 system and you need 20 minutes, 15 minutes before downtime, I will warp to the Ihub. I will lock and activate my link. It will go for 10 minutes. Maybe some people respond or not. Generally, it takes people 5 to 7 minutes to respond at minimum if they're going to do that. Downtime hits. Literally, as soon as the servers come back up, I'm logging in, I'm getting back into space, I'm recycling, and I'm going. And if I can log on faster, or if that person loses interest, walks away, gets a coffee, goes to dinner, takes a bio break, I have free run at it. And so if you're really focused on winning this competition or putting things into reinforcement, when toasting AUTZ enemies, downtime is your friend. That's my pro tip for you here. And remember, as we talked earlier, you cannot warp or cloak when the module is active, and your max speed is 4,000 meters per second. It does not do any good to fit up a ship that goes faster than 4,000 because you will not be able to go faster than that. Most importantly, you have to undock your ship, right? So you have taken this class. You now know enough to be dangerous. I'm handing out ships. We are going to undock, and we are going to do this for real. That's Troll Toasting 101. Thanks for coming, and we're going to move to the fleet portion. Before we do that, I do want to give a couple of notes on this top toaster competition. We are running a 14-day competition to see who can put the most Ihubs in fraternity space and scalding past the Wicked Creek into reinforcement between downtime August 1st and downtime August 15th. We are paying 25 million ISK bounties if you create an initial fraternity Ihub reinforcement in either of those systems, if the ADM is 2 or below, and 50 million ISK. It's a lot ISK if you hit one 2.1 and above. The top 3 toasters will get an MCT, multiple character training certificate, awarded to them, which is about 500 plex worth of stuff. And the top toaster will be crowned with an Alliance medal, and glory will be upon you for your EVE career. So pretty fun. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna create a lot of havoc. So I am going to stop the recording here. We are going to jump into Dojo comms, and we are going to undock and attempt to toast something quickly because the vulnerability window is closing. Thanks for coming, and see you on Dojo comms in Mumble.
Thank you.